You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell, I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, well, good evening. We're just a few minutes later than usual, but this is the Jenn and Rick Show live right now on KLRNradio.com, and we're coming to you today on Tuesday, March 28th, 2017, and we're apparently a bunch of people that hate immigrants because we're conservative and we think the border should be protected. At least that's according to folks in California. Anybody that doesn't support illegal aliens flooding across our borders is apparently an evil hate monger, I guess. So
yeah, we're big old bigots.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm honestly kind of done with the name calling because it doesn't do any good anymore. Because the issue is, because the thing that worries me is it now happens on both sides, and I saw this yesterday because I was in a Twitter conversation with somebody that was mad because they kept referring to keep referring to the failed AHCA as Trump Care. And this Trumpian, as I like to call them, basically was all over Twitter saying, "Stop calling it Trump Care. He did everything he could to block it." I'm like, he did everything he could. He did everything he could to block it. What news outlets were you paying attention to? Because I seem to blatantly remember a president basically saying that he would seek reprisal against any Republicans that stood against the AHCA, and then supposedly jokingly, but everybody knows that when Trump says things with a smile, you need to start watching for your gut. Looked at one of the biggest opponents of the bill and said if it didn't pass, he was coming after him, and everybody laughed it off as a joke. Well, then of course they went ahead and scheduled the vote for the bill anyway, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have the votes, so let's go ahead and pull it." And then Trump does his little late night tweeting thing about how he's trying to make things better, and the Freedom Caucus and all these other people are standing in his way, and they're trying to make sure that Planned Parenthood still gets funded. First of all, a sentence with Freedom Caucus trying to fund Planned Parenthood should never exist because it's a lie, and it is a blatant lie. And that annoys me. I mean, I get that, Donald Trump is one of these guys that he'll say whatever he needs to say to get his point across, and he doesn't care who he hurts or steps on along the way. But to put the Freedom Caucus on the same plane as these people that are trying to fund Planned Parenthood, when the defunding of Planned Parenthood was a joke in this thing anyway, because the maximum it would have done was removed a portion of their funding for a year, and then it was going to basically be reinstated. And the fact that he said that actually angers me. The fact that there are so many people that are now willing to come to his defense and say that, even Sean Hannity, the guy who said, the minute that Trump does something that he shouldn't have done, hold me to account. He's not talking about the fact that Donald Trump didn't remove Obamacare as he had promised, that he'd started working through it and picking things apart around the edges and prettied it up enough where he thought it was okay to slap his name on it, and then threw his full weight of that name apparently right behind it. And I guess we can see exactly how much weight the Trump name really carries in D.C. because it ain't much apparently. And he didn't get anything out of it. And now Sean Hannity's taking a victory lap, going around telling everybody, "Don't blame Trump for this. This is Ryan's fault." We didn't not blame Obama when Obamacare passed. Why would we not blame the president now when the health care bill fails? I don't understand the logic here. Everything, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't a famous president once say the buck stops here?
Yes, that would be correct. I just think it's just so predictable to me. For anyone that paid attention before this and just didn't get suckered into Trump's game and all the kind of lies and manipulations by a certain sect of the GOP that just fell in line for all of this. This is really, it's annoying and it's frustrating, but it's really no surprise. I'm surprised that it's even been this long before there's been kind of these kinds of shenanigans pulled. But it still is it's so frustrating. This is the guy that said that if this doesn't happen, If they don't vote on this and they don't push it through, then I'm I'm done with healthcare. I don't care anymore. I'm moving on to something else. And that was kind of a way out so that then he could say he had nothing to do with it and whatever. But we all know differently. And it's just a lot of spin in order to still hail King Trump, I guess. I don't know. It's not good.
Oh, no. It's not good at all. It's terrible, actually, because, look, let's look at this logically for just a second, because simply put, Trump put all of his weight behind this, and basically granted, he did it wrong. I will freely admit that he didn't do what he said he was going to do, and it's one of the things that annoys me, because it's one of the first things that I would actually chalk up as a broken promise. Now, that's depending on your perspective, however, because let's not forget that Donald Trump, during the campaign, and actually months before, during a 60 Minutes interview, had specifically said that he was going to say something that was distinctly un-Republican, that as far as he was concerned, everyone needed health care coverage, and he was going to do everything he could to make sure that happened. And when the interviewer tried to press him for it, he's like, well, that sounds like socialized medicine. How are we going to pay for it? Well, the government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the back end that it'll be better for everybody. And this was, even with what he said he was going to do in that interview, this by far was not it at all. All it did was take some of the bits and pieces of what we currently call the Unaffordable Care Act in our circles and try to polish them up a little bit, and then take the mandate, remove it, and then make it a fee that was accessible by the insurance companies if you let your policy lapse. Which isn't going to do anybody any good, because it's not going to fix the pricing issue. And then they started talking about how they were going to be rollout 2 and rollout 3. I'm thinking, what is this, thing 1 and 2 from Dr. Seuss? First of all, if you're going to do the important things like insurance across state lines, maybe you should do that part first. And I've been saying this all week, and what annoys me is there's a really easy way to fix a lot of this mess right now. And then let's see how the market reacts, and then see what else we need to do. It's a 2-sentence bill. Allow insurance to be purchased across state lines. Sentence number 1. Force all medical providers to show upfront pricing for what they offer. Sentence number 2. Pass it, sign it, life goes on. We take a look at everything after the changes take effect and see if there's anything else that we need to tweak. At that point, you're allowing the free market to come in and fix the issues, because then you don't have hospitals and clinics within 15 miles of each other. One is charging $20,000 for a procedure, the other was charging $5,000 for the same damn procedure. Because nobody knows what they're paying for anymore when it comes to healthcare. Because they don't care, because they have insurance companies to act as intermediaries.
Well, I think in general, though, like, such a big part of this problem, and with not being able to get people on board with this. And like you were talking about, Trump throwing all his weight behind it, and it's still not working. And obviously his political capital is either spent or non-existent. But it's also the fact that what they were trying to do, regardless of what you think about all of the system and how you think it should best be fixed, what they promised to do and what he ran on being elected on in some ways, and then he backtracked and said multiple different things. But what a lot of Republicans have been promising, if they were given a presidency, if they were given Congress, that they've been promising for 5 years, has been repeal. And I think that no matter what kind of measures they had put in place for this, that were not a pretty intense gutting of Obamacare, was not going to pass and was not going to satisfy a majority of the GOP and the right wing, political sphere. So that it was, unfortunately for those that supported it and support Trump, it was dead in the water, and it was pretty obvious that it was, before it ever came to all of these postponements of votes and then trying to rope everybody in. And you shouldn't be having to convince that many people in a GOP controlled House by a GOP admin to pass something like this, if it was actually something that was good and it was a important bill as they were trying to proclaim it was. It wasn't. It was bad. And that's all there is to it.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing, though, because now you have all these people that stood up and, they're like, hey, we don't want this. And now they're being demonized. I mean, it's literally become another instance of, it seems like the establishment folks are now trying to run off the Tea Party folks again, because most of the Freedom the caucus folks that we're talking about, they were actually part of the Tea Party movement. And now they're under fire again because they actually stood up for what they considered their principles. This is what we send these idiots to D.C. for, is to fight for us based on the principles that they tell us they adhere to. So why is it as soon as they get there, every single one of them but a handful toss their principles aside for dollars? And, they might as well just start putting on G-strings and dancing on poles if all they're looking at is people to throw them money.
Okay, now I can't even comment because that was not a pretty image.
It wasn't meant to be. Sorry, I did warn you that I'm a bit cranky.
Oh, that threw me off. That was really funny. Very clever, sir.
What the hell was that?
Oh, I like that you made me laugh about that, because there's not much to laugh about the absolute disaster that is healthcare right now and health insurance.
Well, I think part of what has me angry is something that actually I had Charles Carter on with me last night. For those of you who don't remember, he actually was a Bernie supporter who was actually protesting outside the DNC once he realized that Bernie had gotten hosed. If Charles Carter and I can come together and a Bernie supporter can realize at this point free markets would work better than what we have now, that ultimately he would prefer single payer, but as a left-leaning libertarian, he understands that free markets would work and fix the problem. If he and I can have an hour-long conversation about the ways to fix healthcare when we come from two completely different, vastly different points of view, why can DC not come together? And sadly, I know the answer to this question, and this election cycle has proven to me something that I have been afraid. I've said it, but in the back of my mind, I've still been hoping the entire time that I've been wrong. Politics has become nothing but a brand war. It doesn't matter which color you pull the lever for, because when they go to DC, they all do the same crap. The only thing that changes is the direction the money spigots flow. That's it. Everything else remains the same. And the scariest part is, no matter what they tell us, they know in their hearts they can't fix what's broken because they need us to need them. And if they actually did what they were sent to a government to do, which is make sure things run smoothly, make sure there are no problems, fix the things that are broken, eventually they would put themselves out of a job. And they know it. So no matter what they tell us, because let's not forget, the Republican Party tried while they were the minority party to repeal Obamacare not once, not twice, not thrice, but 66 times in the last 7 years. They had a clear shot at doing it, and they put up this rim job instead.
Exactly right. And I know we talked a little bit about this before, but they wanted to, they kept saying and trying to claim that it would be political suicide to do what they've done before and actually allow that to happen. And I just disagree. I think this is pretty suicidal to try to pull the wool over so many people's eyes who have wanted repeal, or at least wanted it, like I said, an extreme gutting of Obamacare, and trying to pull the wool over their eyes and pass this, Obamacare light off as some major reform when it's not. And in a lot of ways, it just shuffled things around. It put the burden in different places, but didn't remove it. There are all sorts of ways in which this was just not a good answer, and very similar to continuing what we already have in just a little bit different ways by moving some of the pieces. And I think that this is a grave misstep for the GOP to try to say that this was what needed to happen. And I'm glad it was canceled.
I mean, it just, again, all of this annoys me because, and just like the other topic that we were going to touch on that we'll probably get to after the break, this whole idea that suddenly now we have all of these states and cities, all these liberal cities that are now all of a sudden, and liberal states that are now all of a sudden all about the 10th Amendment. that weren't apparently before, because remember when conservatives were screaming about the 10th Amendment when certain states were trying to enforce and protect their own borders, and suddenly that's not possible. Now the issue is, now the shoe's on the other foot, and now the leftists are the ones screaming about 10th Amendment, and the ones on the right are like, well, it doesn't apply. So I mean, you can take as much of that or leave as much of it as you want, but my issue with all of it is it's all a shell game. Every single bit of it is a shell game. Whichever minority party there is spends the whole time they're the minority party screaming about the Constitution. And then as soon as they're not the minority party anymore, the Constitution goes right straight out the window. Now, I will admit, I think this is the loudest and the longest I've heard the Democrats screaming about the Constitution in a very long time. But I think that's because, in some ways, I think Trump absolutely terrifies them. And
yeah.
Isn't
that so funny, though, that it took something like this or I'm like, I constantly on a daily basis want to be like, oh, now you care. Oh, now you're concerned with the language in the Constitution. Oh, now you want to know, exactly what this was or that was. And
well, I mean, let's not forget that's still only part of them. No, it's all right. I think, did you cut out there for a second? Or did I lose you somewhere?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, there you are.
You're breaking up a little bit.
How about now?
Okay. Yes, I can hear.
Okay, cool. But let's not forget, though, when it comes to the whole our Democratic side of the aisle, there are quite a few people that are still... Uh-oh. Are we breaking up again?
Okay, I don't know what's going on. We just keep kind of going in and out just a little bit.
Well, I mean, I can still hear you just fine on my end. Are you able to hear me okay?
Okay, there we go. Yeah, no, now you're... Yeah, I don't know what happened. It was just a little bit shaky there for a minute.
Well, we actually have a thunderstorm starting to try to kick up, so that may have something to do with it. I've noticed a couple of lightning flashes over the last couple of minutes. But, let's not forget, though, that while we have a core group of Democrats that are suddenly very, constitutionally aware, there's still folks that have said things like, Justice Scalia and I must have very different constitutions. So, I mean, not everybody's awakened to the joys of actually following the Constitution on the left. Unfortunately, I guess a few less than we thought were actually awakened to the joys of following the Constitution on the right, though, too. Because now that Trump is the one signing all the executive orders, everybody loves them.
Right. Well, and I mean, even with their newfound, appreciation for everything, it's still not the same kind of appreciation. It's not. They're still wanting it to be what they want it to be when they want it to be. So when you've got someone like Trump in charge, then you want some strict readings of certain parts of it. And when you've got loose and then to be interpreted however best suits them. So that, that hasn't changed at all as much as they ever had, and talk about specific amendments that are usually ones that conservatives about kind of entertaining, and they're still wrong.
Yeah, well, all right, so let's go ahead and take the first break, because we did get the lead start, so we're at the bottom of the hour now, so we're going to go ahead and take the first break now, get that out of the way. When we come back, we'll actually change gears for as long as my internet connection holds out, because I've now had a power flash, so I'm surprised we're still connected, but we're still here. So we'll be right back here in about probably about 4 minutes. This is Jenn and Rick, right here live on KLRNradio.com. Don't go away.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round.
You're listening.
It's too late to turn back now.
You've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp is
down, 'cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could, 'cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is the Jenn and Rick Show. We're into the second half of the show now, so we're going to change topics. We're going to start talking sanctuary cities. So, Jen, I have a question. Are you opposed? Are you opposed to immigration?
I am not opposed to immigration.
Are you a racist bigot who doesn't want people to come into the country?
I am not. I welcome people to come into this country.
Well, then why does everybody keep saying that I'm a racist bigot who doesn't want people to come into the country just because I want us to enforce our immigration laws?
Something, brown people, something, bigot, something, mean.
Well, you left out the expletive in there somewhere, but yeah, mostly,
well, yes, that too.
But mostly that. But it's just funny because nobody here. Now let's just put some myths to bed because we can kind of hit them all at once, and then we can come back and talk about the sanctuary city thing. So first of all, conservatives are not opposed to immigration. We want people to come here. We want people to immigrate that want to be here. We also want people to come here legally, as is prescribed by law, because those laws were put in place for multiple reasons. Now, the funny thing is, when we start talking about this, people point to places like Canada and talk about how great Canada is because they're taking all these refugees in and they're doing all this and they're doing all that. Hey, John Q. Public, did you know that Canada currently has a cap on the number of refugees they will take? Did you know that for every refugee they take in, a Canadian citizen or Canadian family has to take responsibility for that refugee for a minimum of a year? Did you know those things? Because I didn't know those things until I started looking into it. So here's my thought. If all of you leftists really, really want refugees here so bad, then we can start the same kind of program they have in Canada. You can file an application to bring over a refugee or a refugee family. You can open up your home to them for a year. You can feed them. You can clothe them. You can house them. You can be ultimately responsible if they commit any criminal acts while in the country. And then I'm perfectly fine with bringing any immigrant, any refugees in here that you want. Because if they do anything that goes sideways, guess whose head's on the chopping block? Not mine, yours.
I like that. I mean, I like that you would have to. I mean, we even have, certain amount. There's sponsors stuff here for our immigration and everything, but for the refugee type thing, there isn't. And I think that that's actually a great idea, and people can put their money where their mouth is.
The even better thing, or the even more interesting thing about that, one of the things that started everybody, pointing to look how great Canada is and look what their prime minister is saying. Because, when Trump started talking about enforcing temporary travel stoppages, to, and temporary, by the way, that's the operative word, just to give us extra time to make sure that these people are who they claim to be and that they're coming here for good reason. The prime minister of Canada started tweeting out that all immigrants and refugees were welcome to Canada, and please come here if you wish. Well, the part that he left out was, again, Canada has a cap for the number of refugees they will currently take in a year. It's set at 1,000. They actually hit the cap by January 15th. And yet he's tweeting out, "Oh yeah, go ahead, come to Canada." Really? Not sure how that's going to happen, bub.
Yeah, I do remember that. I did hear that there was such a low number that they allowed when he was like, "Oh, we'll take anybody that Trump's America won't," and it was like, "No, you won't." Like by law.
It's kind of like those info commercials where they make everything sound really, really great, and then you listen to the very end, and there's a guy talking 90 mile an hour with all the fine print. He left off the fine print because. Well,
I love. It is, and I sometimes hear some of this, and that's why I say things in that way sometimes, because I kind of hear it in that voice, like, "Well, everybody, let's just da-da-da-da-da, and if you do this, then you can get this, and we'll throw in a Trump and a blah, blah." It's like, it's so ridiculous, but Canada is kind of, in a way, it's not always their politicians, but especially some of their more well-known citizens are notorious for saying things like this, right? And being completely wrong and being like, well, Canada will let this or this or this, or we don't allow blah, blah, blah in Canada. And it's always like almost every time you fact check it, they are wrong. They are absolutely wrong. So it's kind of humorous. I have a little bit of a fondness for those silly old Canadians. Sorry. No offense to any of my Canadian friends.
See, I should have planned ahead, because I should have got the South Park song Blame Canada. We could have used that a lot.
Yes! That would have been good.
My bad.
That would have been good. But back to refugees and back to immigration, and I'm just really sick about... I'm so sick of people trying to say that or lumping in illegal immigration with all immigration. And it's just not fair. I actually just had an experience, last summer, and I don't know if y'all remember, but I was traveling through this great country from Colorado up to Montana, and we got a lot of bad service in the mountains, so I wasn't able to do the show. But while I was at a friend's wedding in Montana, we got the news of one of our other friends who has been here for the better part of 10 years. And he's from Australia, which is an ally and a very friendly nation to us, immigration-wise. And they and he got the phone call that his citizenship had finally been approved. Then he had to finish the paperwork, and all of that was filed and finished by about November. So this was in July. He got the phone call. He didn't get actual written filed confirmation until November, and he received his Social Security card in February of this year. So even once he was approved last July, it was still that long before he got his official documentation to be able to do many things that citizens can do. He spent about 7.5 years trying to get his citizenship, obviously paid a decent amount of money to do so, but went about it all the right way. And I had the distinct pleasure of getting to file him a W-9 to work for me and enter his brand new Social Security number in the first and second weeks of March when I was running events. And it was just really kind of a cool moment and very neat that this time when you're filling this out, it's not a Visa number. It's not like a special thing. This is your Social Security card because you are an American citizen now. And he's so proud, and it's so exciting. And he's not the first one of my friends that's become an American citizen. And so I love it. And it's so fun and it's great. And they're so they're so relieved because it's such a long and strenuous process. And I get that. And there are some things that probably need to change about that we could do to, make it an easier and more expedited situation for most cooperative, nonviolent, no criminal record immigrants that want to become legal citizens and do it the right way. So it really, really, burns me up when these people try to say that you're anti-immigrant just because I am anti-illegal alien, anti-people taking advantage, anti-people that have skirted our laws, that continue to break our laws in this country, get away with it. And because of sanctuary cities and other ways that governments do not communicate, individual governments, whether it's city, state, county, whatever, do not communicate with our federal immigration forces, or are not allowed to in some situations. I mean, there are some places in a lot of these sanctuary cities are like that. They've passed ordinances where they're not allowed to communicate with ICE or other immigration services. And so these people are allowed to break our laws over and over, and not just the laws to get into this country, but all sorts of other laws, from, violence to robberies to just drug laws, obviously, is a big one. And there's no consequence, and they get to stay here because they're not allowed to be reported to our immigration services. And I've got friends like my Australian, and then I, know of I live in Texas. There's so many illegals here, and I don't think that they are all a drag on this nation or society. I don't think they all mean to be lawbreakers in that way. But the fact of the matter is they are, and we can adequately protect our borders as an autonomous nation. We have the right to do so. Every other country in this world does it. And we seem to be the only ones that get hated on for it. And if you support enforcing our laws and enforcing our border, then somehow that makes you a racist bigot. And I am just sick of it. And I'm sick of being told that means I don't want any immigration and we're a melting pot. It's absolute crap. I absolutely support immigration. I support it the right way, though. But sue me. That makes me an evil and mean person.
Yeah, you're a hater, but we already knew that. So I want to actually take this in a different direction for just a second, because this is actually kind of germane to what we're talking about. I met someone at CPAC who actually happens to be one of the hosts for the Lanterns Radio Network, which is one of the networks where this show and America Off the Rails and a couple others that we run goes. And he also happens to be a podcaster for The Blaze. He also happens to be Irish. And it's been his lifelong dream to come to America and become a citizen of this country. And one of the hardest things for me to read, because I happened to be going through Facebook while I was waiting for my connecting flight, was his last post before he got back on the plane to go back to Ireland, because he wants nothing more than to be here. And he started saying how much he loved this country and how he spends pretty much every waking moment fighting for freedom for us and here and everywhere, because it's his dream to come to America. And he wants nothing more than to tear the plane ticket up and turn around and go hide somewhere and just stay and that he knows that there are hundreds, and nobody talks about these folks either, but there are literally hundreds of thousands of Irish people that have come here illegally too. Nobody talks about them, though. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that he was pointing out, is I know there are thousands of my brethren here that have come here illegally, that have done it the wrong way. And as much as I want to stay here, and as easy as it would be for me to stay, I know that it wouldn't mean nearly as much to me if I do not do it the right way. And I could not continue to do the things that I do and be the voice of freedom that I am if I cannot honor some of this country's most basic laws, because if I want to come here and I want to be part of this country, I must respect it. And that literally, and again, I'm paraphrasing it, but just even reading that while I'm sitting in an airport terminal, I'm getting goosebumps right now, even paraphrasing what he wrote. Because to hear that as an outside perspective and to have it put in such a way that brings all of it to you with such clarity, because you need to understand something. These people that are coming here illegally, they're not coming here because they love this country. They're coming here because they want something from this country. They're not wanting to give anything back to this country in most cases. Now, I'm not going to say all of them, but a good portion of the ones that have done so illegally and did it of their own free will and weren't children involved in the equation that didn't have an option, they didn't come here to make this country a better place. They came here to make their lives better for selfish reasons. This man, even though he knew his life on his own here would be better and he would be happier because it's what he's always wanted to do, was willing to go back home and still continue to wait for the chance to actually come over here and do it the right way. And why is that such a bad thing, to have people that are willing to come over here and do it the right way? And I get it. We have some very outdated immigration laws. I'm not saying there are not issues that need to be addressed. I'm not saying there's not ways to speed up some of the processes with technology. I'm not saying that some of it needs to be less expensive. But what I'm saying is, while we're trying to figure out how we're going to fix our immigration mess, let's quit throwing the floodgates open. Because the next time that you're involved in an argument with somebody about illegal immigration, illegal aliens, whatever you want to call them, and they start calling you a racist or a bigot or whatever they want to call you, ask them the same question that I talk about now pretty much at least once or twice a week. When you're in the middle of this argument, ask them a specific question. When you sleep at night, do you lock your doors and windows? If the answer to that question is yes, then please stop yelling at me about needing to protect our borders, because I'm wanting to do the same thing for our country that you do for your own personal home. 9 times out of 10, they'll either start stammering that it's not the same thing, or the argument will shut down. But regardless, all of these people that are screaming that we need open borders, zero regulatory control when it comes to immigration, etc., are hypocrites, because these are the same people that take whatever steps they need to protect their own people inside their homes, much like all of these Hollywood elites that say you and I shouldn't be able to carry guns because it's dangerous, have armed bodyguards around them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's yet another case of do as I say, not as I do.
Always. I mean, it always is. And I think, you're right about the passion behind some of the people that are wanting to do this, right? I mean, it really touched me when we were able to cheers my friend, and he was so overwhelmed with emotion. By the way, his family's all in Australia. He's here. He came here when he was younger and decided that he wanted to make his life here. And he absolutely loves this country and is now going to marry someone here and all of that. It was such a long road for him to get his citizenship, and it took a long time. He had to spend, at one point he was sent back to Australia for a 14-month period awaiting a new visa, and there were all sorts of trials and tribulations that made it that much more worth it, even though he would have liked for it to have gone faster, of course. But it's so important that the people that we are giving the opportunity to, the people that we are rewarding with, that we are able to vet them in a way, you can't thoroughly vet anyone as well as we would like to. People all harbor secrets, unfortunately, but that there would be the right intentions in coming here, and the right intentions or the right motivations for why they want to be here. And they don't have to be all just like 100% forsake my country, only America. But you want them to want to be a part of this country, a part of this culture, and to want the same, in general, the same ideals that found this country: freedom, and a love of that, and a love of our country as the world's democratic leader. So I think that that is important when we decide who we want to allow the privilege of becoming a member of our citizenry. And I don't know why that is such a controversial thing to say. It's ridiculous.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's just, I don't understand the mindset of just this idea of I guess I understand the mindset of it to a point. Because most of the reason the leftists want the floodgates to be thrown open and to basically let everybody come in that wants to come in, because one of the things that this reminded me of something I heard this morning, which is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this. I actually heard the mayor of one of the cities in California talking about how they weren't going to, regardless of whether or not the federal government pulled their funding, they weren't going to allow the federal government to trample people's civil rights. I want to make something very clear, because I understand where they get this idea. They get this idea from the opening sentence of our Declaration of Independence, which is that we believe that all men are created equal with the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. While we believe this, it's also a common understanding that not every country affords people those same freedoms, even though they are granted by God. So the fact that we have so many people that are willing to stand up and keep trying to extend our Constitution to people that were not born here, that are not citizens here, is part of the problem, because they are not entitled to our constitutional protections if they are here illegally, because they broke the law to get here. They don't have civil rights as outlined in our Bill of Rights because they broke the law to get here. It's no different than saying that somebody that breaks into your house is entitled to your television set before they leave because they were in your home when they took it.
Right. Which, unfortunately, there have been some cases that are sort of similar to that have gone through our courts and just outline how ridiculous some things have become in our society, even in the justice system. But it isn't. It is not. Oh, what am I trying to say? It's just it is taken for granted. We act as if our laws, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, our rights as American citizens can be automatically afforded to anyone. And sometimes that even extends to arguments about people overseas. And when we're there and being like, well, but they have a free speech, or they have a this, or they have, and it's like, no, they don't. They're not on American soil. And like you're saying with this, no, they don't. They're here illegally. They are not citizens. They are not even, technically, they're not even invited visitors of this country if they have overstayed to the point of being illegal. So these are precious things. I don't think people quite understand how really precious our foundation is, and that it is there to protect us and to protect our country. And if we can't do that, then we can't protect our citizenry, which also includes, by the way, all of their beloved illegals. So, because of what would happen here if those things can't be protected. It just is so frustrating. The argument has just devolved into nothing, really. I mean, it has just become just a name-calling type thing. There is no real debate, and there's no real logic behind the left's push for every person that just ever wants to step foot over here to just not only gain access to our country and to our and to its natural resources, and to be allowed to behave however they want socially, but then also to be afforded every kind of resource and and be allowed to get every benefit that even many American citizens can't get. It's absurd, but it's apparently, if you don't agree with that and you don't push for it too, then you are, hateful and racist, or whatever else they want to call you. It's just such a frustrating time.
No, it truly is. And, I guess kind of going in the same vein of the weird stuff that we've been talking about tonight, I just had an article that I remembered I had read yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that I got your take on it during this episode, because as a woman, I kind of wanted to hear what your thoughts were. Because I've noticed a couple of weird things going on with the feminist movement lately. Like, ever since Donald Trump became president of the United States, the hijab is now a symbol of feminism. Which makes absolutely no sense to me, because the same people that are screaming that women need to be free and have equal rights are now using a symbol of oppression for women as one of their symbols. I'm confused by this.
Yeah, you're not the only one. It's not just confusing. It is insulting. I can't even believe that they have become so confused about what feminism is that they have decided that this symbol that is truly a symbol of oppression to women in many countries and in many cultures. Oppression like these just adorable little feminists could never believe. They could never even understand. They would die from what this oppression is. And they have the audacity to not only lecture others about how it is empowerment, but also to, in my opinion, it is so incredibly offensive to act as if it is empowerment when it's really oppression. And then beyond that, they represented it in a way that would not even be allowed. That one tweet that I saw, and it was the woman, it was like skin tight and it was form fitting to her body. And so it was very flattering, and it kind of flowed out into a skirt almost that had a slit up the leg with the leg pointed out with a point shoe on from a dancer's, she was a dancer. That is a complete misrepresentation. None of that would be allowed. And in fact, even the facial part of it was not done correctly and would not be allowed. It is just, they are actually crazy. I mean, and I think they really are. There is something mental going on here for them to be able to take this and say that it's empowerment and we all stand with, we are with you on this. And these women, well, yeah, I'm with those women, but I actually want to end the oppression against them, which this represents. So to act like it is a symbol of empowerment is just absolutely insulting to my intelligence. I seriously, I saw it and I was fuming. I was like, how dare they? How dare they? And it offends me, not for me. It offends me for the women who truly live under such an oppressed system.
Well, now that we got you really revved up, how do you feel about hijabi?
Oh my gosh, sorry.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Barbie has recently had a Muslim makeover. There is now a Barbie that actually wears a hijab. I just have one question before I let you say whatever you want to say. What's next? Martyr Ken with a removable bomb vest and an opposable thumb for the detonator?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think... I mean, I guess you got to sell what you're going to sell, but I just even wonder, are they even allowed to have those, or is this just going to be something that Westerners are going to buy thinking that they're like being politically correct and supportive and whatever, I don't know, tolerant. And so they're going to buy them as a badge of, a little badge of honor to wear and say, look at me, aren't I great? I bought my daughter a hijab Barbie. How did you say it?
Actually, according to CNN, they're calling it a hijabi. It's Hijarbi.
Oh my gosh. Anyways. Yeah. So, crazy. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it's just going to be something for Westerners to pat themselves on the back and say, look what I've included in my daughter's doll collection because I'm so aggressive and tolerant. and it's not really anything that girls that are actually living under Sharia or otherwise, Islamic law that is extremely oppressive will be able to enjoy. So what the heck? That's so stupid. I think it's so dumb.
It's a good thing this show is almost out of time because there are so many bad directions I could take this whole line. I'm just saying. I'm just glad we're down to like 5 minutes because otherwise I'd probably be getting yelled at again because I just had all kinds of crazy action figure ideas pop in my head. I think JD and I have been communicating too much through text lately. He's becoming a bad influence again. I'm not even going to give you guys a peek into the craziness that is currently in my head because it was kind of disturbing even for me. All right, but anyway, believe it or not, we are just about out of time. So as we do every time we come to the end of the show, why don't you remind folks where it is that you can hang out, or they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio hanging out with me. As my power tries to flash.
Yeah,
again.
Come check me out on Twitter at J. That's okay. Come check me out on Twitter at J Homestead, Facebook at JR Homestead, and check out my website with some really smart people at misfitspolitics.com.
All right, and I, of course, am Rick Robinson. Normally, I would be doing another show starting here in about 5 minutes or so. I have not been able to make contact with my guest, and I keep having power flashes, so I'm going to shut down my computer before it explodes. We'll be back live tomorrow night right here on KLRNradio.com, assuming that storm season doesn't give us yet another night to have to probably put up a replay, because apparently we're supposed to get some bad weather for like tonight, tomorrow, and maybe Thursday. But we'll have to play it by ear and see. But on that note, folks, we're out. Take care. God bless. Have a good night. I'm going to get some stuff done before I have to power this thing down before it melts, because I'm honestly surprised it's still running, because the lights in my house have flickered like 5 times and I still have a computer. I'm kind of confused. But on that note, we're out. Good night.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down, 'cause I've been through